This is the Sabbath School lesson for the first quarter, 2022.
Welcome to Lesson 12, Receiving an Unshakable Kingdom, ready for teaching on March 19. It's from the series In These Last Days, The Message of Hebrews, authored by Dr. Felix Cortes, Associate Professor of New Testament Literature in the Seventh-day Adventist Theological Seminary at Andrews University. And I'm your reader for today, Dr. Percy Harrold. Friday, March 18. From the book The Great Controversy, pages 660 and 671, the author, Ellen G. White, writes, "During the 1,000 years between the first and the second resurrection, the judgment of the wicked takes place." The Apostle Paul points to this judgment as an event that follows the second advent. "Judge nothing before the time," we read in 1 Corinthians 4:5, "until the Lord come, who both will bring to light the hidden things of darkness, and will make manifest the counsels of the heart." Daniel declares that when the Ancient of Days came, in Daniel 7:22, judgment was given to the saints of the Most High. At this time the righteous reign as kings and priests unto God. John in the Revelation says, "I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. They shall be priests of God and of Christ, and shall reign with him 1,000 years." Revelation 20, verses 4-6. It is at this time that, as foretold by Paul, the saints shall judge the world. 1 Corinthians 6, verse 2. In union with Christ, they judge the wicked, comparing their acts with the statute book, the Bible, and deciding every case according to the deeds done in the body. Then the portion which the wicked must suffer is meted out according to their works, and it is recorded against their names in the book of death. Satan also and evil angels are judged by Christ and his people. Says Paul in verse 3, "Know ye not that ye shall judge angels?" And Jude declares that the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto the judgment of the great day. Jude, verse 6, end of quote. And that brings us to our 3 discussion questions for this week. 1. What does the participation of the saints in the judgment of the wicked, in 1 Corinthians 6:3 and Jude 6, say about God, and how transparent he will be with us in showing us his goodness and fairness in how he has dealt with sin and evil? 1 Corinthians 6, verse 3, "Do you not know that we shall judge angels? How much more things that pertain to this life?" And Jude, verse 6, "And the angels who did not keep their proper domain, but left their own abode, he has reserved in everlasting chains under darkness for the judgment of the great day." And question 2, read Exodus 32:32, Psalm 56:8, Psalm 69:28, Psalm 139:16, Isaiah 4:3, Daniel 12:1, Malachi 3:16, and Luke 10:20, as well as Revelation 13:8 and Revelation 17:8. These are references to God's books in heaven. What kinds of things are registered in these books? Why is it important that God maintains a record of our tears, as it reads in Psalm 56, verse 8, for example? If God knows everything, what is the purpose of such books or records? First of all, Exodus 32, verse 32. "Yet know, if you will forgive their sin, but if not, I pray, blot me out of your book which you have written." And Psalm 56, verse 8, "You number my wanderings, put my tears into your bottle. Are they not in your book?" And Psalm 69 and verse 28, "Let them be blotted out of the book of the living, and not be written with the righteous." Psalm 139:16, "Your eyes saw my substance being yet unformed, and in your book they all were written, the days fashioned for me, when as yet there was none of them." And Isaiah 4 and verse 3, "And it shall come to pass that he who is left in Zion remains in Jerusalem will be called holy, every one who is recorded among the living in Jerusalem." And Daniel 12, verse 1, "At that time Michael shall stand up, the great prince, who stands watch over the sons of your people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that time. And at that time your people shall be delivered, every one who is found written in the book. And Malachi 3:16, then those who feared the Lord spoke to one another, and the Lord listened and heard them. So a book of remembrance was written before him, for those who fear the Lord and who meditate on his name. And Luke 10:20, nevertheless, do not rejoice in this, that the spirits are subject to you, but rather rejoice because your names are written in heaven. Revelation 13, verse 8, all who dwell on the earth will worship him whose names have not been written in the book of the life of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world. And Revelation 17, verse 8, the beast that you saw was and is not, and will ascend out of the bottomless pit and go to perdition. And those who dwell on the earth will marvel, whose names are not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they see the beast that was and is not, and yet is. These are references to God's books in heaven. What kind of things are registered in those books? Why is it important that God maintains a record of our tears, for example, as recorded in Psalm 56, verse 8? You number my wanderings, put my tears into your bottle. Are they not in your book? If God knows everything, what is the purpose of such books or records? 3. Why do you think it is important that Hebrews ends the argument of the epistle with a link to the promises of Daniel 7? Why are these links important in the context of Jesus' ministry in heaven? What does Daniel 7 teach us about the end of all earthly and fallen things? Inside Story. Perfect Health by Andrew McChesney. Noi was a wealthy woman who oversaw more than 100 workers at a family-owned coffee plantation in Laos. But then she fell ill with a mystery disease in her village. Her physician couldn't identify the illness. Noi went to many medical doctors across southern Laos, but no one could help. Her health grew worse and worse until she could not even walk and was confined to her bed. More than that, she nearly lost her mind. Many times she could not remember people in her own family. All her workers left because she did not pay their salaries. Villagers told her and her husband that she would not survive. At this low point in Noi's life, a visitor arrived from Laos's capital, Vientiane. The visitor, like Noi, was not a Christian, but her son and daughter-in-law were Seventh-day Adventists. She told Noi about Jesus. Maybe Jesus can save your life, she said. With assistance from her husband, Noi found the telephone number of an Adventist pastor in the south and called him for help. The pastor travelled to Noi's village and prayed with her. Noi was encouraged by the prayer, and she decided to move temporarily to Vientiane. She wanted to meet Adventist church members and get to know them. When she arrived, she could not get out of the bed, and she struggled to think clearly. Church members met and prayed with her regularly. Gradually, her health improved. She started to sit, stand, and walk. 5 months after falling ill, Noi returned to her home village in perfect health. The villagers were surprised at what they saw. They had expected her to die, but she was alive and fully healed. Astonished, they asked her what had happened. Jesus saved me from death, Noi said. Now, many villagers are interested in knowing more about Jesus, the powerful physician who can heal all who ask him. Thank you for your Sabbath School mission offering that will help spread the gospel to the people of Laos and other countries of the Southern Asia-Pacific Division. Part of this quarter's 13th Sabbath offering will help open an elementary school in Laos. This mission story illustrates mission objective number 2 of the Seventh-day Adventist Church's I Will Go strategic plan, to strengthen and diversify Adventist outreach among unreached and underreached people groups and to non-Christian religions. Learn more at iwillgo2020.org. This lesson was read by Dr. Percy Harrold for Christian Services for the Blind, sponsored by the Sabbath School Department and distributed through Hope Channel Australia This podcast is also redistributed by Hope Channel Germany, Christian Record Services for the Blind, and It Is Written. It is also available on SoundCloud and through multiple podcast distributors, including Apple iTunes. Remember, God is always faithful.